What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and in this video I wanted to go over some weapons that you should be getting ready for next episode, Revenant. So I wanted to start with anti-barrier shotgun because, believe it or not, we've never had this one. And yeah, there's some good shotguns to kind of get ready. So the Chaperone and Duality are actually getting buffs. I did a separate video breaking down all the exotic weapon buffs, so if you want more info on that, check that out. But basically, Chaperone could be pretty strong because you can proc Roadborne now on critical hits. 2 precision rapid hits will proc it instead of a kill. And then Duality on Black Wings is becoming more forgiving. And then I've always liked Fourth Horseman. It does have low ammo reserves, but it does also absolutely shred. So if you're running like something built around special ammo generation, this could also be a good one. And then Conditional Finality, just a really good exotic. It can freeze and cause ignition, so it can deal with unstops. And then it will also be able to deal with barriers. Granted, it is a raid exotic, but it should be really good. Until its return is a strand one with autoloading Cascade Point, which is a good perk. Autoloading Trench Barrel Imperial Decree is really good. Swordbreaker for like a 1-2 punch shotgun or whatever you have. I also like Wastelander, but I think Wastelander can also get Vorpal Weapon or Reese Walker from Iron Banner, so that's really good. And then Heritage with Reconstruction Recombination has always just been an excellent shotgun. And then when we go to the energy slot, again, Grave Robber 1-2 Punch is nice on Ikelo's shotgun. I think this can roll with some other good PvE perks as well. Sojourner's Tale is coming back. I actually have Autoloading Holster and Frenzy, which is still better than any of the other perks that it's releasing with, I believe. So I'm glad I kept this old one. Dead Weight is one, I believe this is from Gambit. Yeah, Gun and Run. So autoloading Vorpal, obviously really nice for anti-barrier champions because Vorpal will do 15% more damage, and autoloading Holster, I love. Speaking of Vorpal Weapon, Fellwinter's Lie also has this. You should be able to get it from the kiosk at the tower. And I'm sure no one has this, but this thing low-key could be amazing. This is like a 5 out of 5 god roll to me. Handling Masterwork, Assault Mag, so it increases the rate of fire. Bottomless Grief increases magazine size while you are the last living member of your fire team. Each final blow refills your magazine. So because I like doing solo content, this could be really good. And then Trench Barrel now works on any melee hit, including like ranged charged melees, where it used to only work on regular uncharged melees. So yeah, I doubt anyone has this, but if you have it or check your vaults, it could be good. And then Retold Tale, it can roll repulsor destabilizing rounds, and there's some void synergy on the artifact. So this could be really good in like a, if you're using it for ad clear or something. And then Legend of Acreus is an absolute monster, and Tractor Cannon is really good as well. Okay, so the next one I want to talk about is Overload Breach Grenade Launchers, but also Kinetic Impacts. So Kinetic Impacts says sustained damage with a power grenade launcher causes a combatant to emit a shockwave that damages nearby combatants, and this shockwave can stun unstoppables. So technically it can stun unstop, so we're going to talk about GLs. And then Overload Breach Grenade Launcher. I'm guessing this stuns on the first shot because you have to reload Breach Grenade Launchers typically, unless you have something like Envious Assassin. And overloads are like notorious for bouncing around and whatever. So yeah, I'm guessing it's one shot. So let's look at some good Breach Grenade Launchers. Obviously the Mountaintop. I love Impulse Amplifier and Vorpal Weapon. Because this increases the reload speed. Spike Grenades is good for extra damage. So this is a god roll as far as I'm concerned because this reload speed is really nice. Autoloading Holster and Recombination could also be really good though. And you can get that from Onslaught. Lingering Dread. This one is from the Duality Dungeon, but this one already can stun overloads because it can roll with Chill Clip, and Chill Clip weapons are going to be very valuable, as I'll get to later in the video. And then Autoloading Holster, Disorienting Grenades are always nice. So this is a really good roll. Lost Signal, I'm really curious because this is a damage over time weapon. And then I've got Autoloading Vorpal is what I crafted mine with. So yeah, this thing could be really good on overloads because you could like shoot the overload, deal a bunch of damage with some other weapon, then just swap back to it when it autoloads, and then it's sitting in that pool because it's damage over time. So that could be good. Then you've got things like Wave Frames. This is from the Ghosts of the Deep dungeon. So you can use it for ad clear. Redirection isn't the greatest perk, but it's really good on something like this because damaging rank and file combatants increases damage against more powerful ones. So you use it for ad clear, and then you come up to an overload champion, and boom, you use that. This is from Iron Banner. Slice is nice. Chain reaction for ad clear, and then you can use it to stun. Ignition code. Mine doesn't have disorienting grenades, but slide shot is coming back on this thing. So this one could be really good. Slide shoot, slide shoot. It's nice. And then Wither Horde, just one of the goats. 20,000 kills on this thing. I love it. Damage over time, probably going to be really good for overloads. Then we've got Wild Style, which is a Nightfall weapon. Reconstruction Vorpal. This will obviously deal more damage to champions, so this could be good. Also disorienting grenades. So if you want to use it for damaging overloads, or if you'd rather use it for ad clear and kind of disorienting the enemies. Forbearance, this one is from the Vow of the Disciple raid, but you can also get it from Onslaught, and it can roll with a lot of the similar rolls. So really good from Onslaught. Marty's Retribution, this was available just last season. Heal Clip Incandescent, this one has quite a few good rolls. Prodigal Return, Envious, and Volt Shot, these kind of work against each other actually, so maybe I would switch this around, but not bad if you need an arc option. This was craftable from the season that launched with Lightfall. Fighting Lion is getting a buff, and it will be able to spread Volatile, so that's nice. Dead Messenger, you can craft it with Demolitionist. And yeah, just a really, really good Waveframe grenade launcher, great ad clear. And then X-Dearest, this is kind of my sleeper pick for next season. You're going to be able to spawn moths on 2 hits on the same target, or I don't even know if it's on the same target. But anyways, right now it can only do it on kills. But the moth cooldown is going from 4 seconds to 3 seconds, and it's going to get a 33% damage increase as well, and make more moths. So this thing is going to be really good, and it's becoming easier to shoot in the next episode. So yeah, definitely try out X-Dearest. It's going to be great. Edge Transit, I've got Envious and Bait and Switch. This thing has like a million god rolls. It's amazing. Anarchy, maybe Return of the Goat. This thing's awesome. Damage over time as well, which is really nice on overloads. So yeah, this thing could be excellent. Hullabaloo, Impulse Amplifier, Chain Reaction. So it's got good ad clear. Oh, sorry. These ones don't do overloads. These are that kinetic one. So it could stun unstops. But even still, you might just be able to stick. It might basically just give Anarchy kinetic tremors. So you might be able to just shoot one shot and stun an unstoppable. So yeah, could be really awesome. Salvation's Grip. Everything is based around Stasis next season. So this thing could be excellent. It makes a ton of Stasis crystals, which freeze and already stun unstoppables. But yeah, this is just going to be good in general. Maybe not so much with that artifact mod, the kinetic tremors one. And then Prospector, this is getting a big buff. Its magazine's going down to 6, but it's getting basically a total rework. So I'm very curious how it'll play. The old school Wendigo with auto-loading explosive light and disorienting grenades. This thing's decent. Typhon. This is just a drop from the Gunsmith, Demolitionist, Explosive Light, and it's Stasis, so it could have some good synergy next season. Cry Mutiny, Demo Vorpal. This one you should just be able to get from the kiosk. But yeah, it actually hits really hard with Vorpal weapon, so it could be really good. I still don't like the Colony, even after its rework, but I figured I'd throw it in here. And then these Rapid Fire GLs are getting a bit of a buff next season. So something like this with Spike Grenades, Field Prep, Explosive Light, it's hard to get the like 5 out of 5 god roll, but if you do, it could be really good. Like mine, blast radius doesn't matter with explosive light, so I would have rather had velocity, but still, this thing could go really hard, especially because it would have deep reserves, especially with field prep. So that's it for the GLs. So next up, we will look at some anti-barrier scout rifles and overload SMGs. So starting with the SMGs, Imminence, if you've played the new Salvation's Edge raid, is really good. It can roll Hatchling, which is nice. Target Lock, which is decent, and then Chaos Reshaped, which is a really, really strong perk. And then I really like Enlightened Action. So yeah, that's a really good one. This is just a world drop, this Yeravit MG4. I got Strategist, which is nice for getting your class ability, and then Headstone, which will have really good synergy in the new season. So maybe something you want to look at. And then Osteostriga used to be an absolute monster. It's not as good as it used to be, but it is still very strong. And when Overload SMG is on, especially, it's very good because it can do that damage over time poison. So definitely a really good option. And then Huckleberry is getting a buff. It's getting kinetic tremors. So yeah, it could be really nice. It's going to fully reload the weapon on kills as well. So really good for chaining kills. And it's got old school rampage, so a higher damage stack than current rampage. And then in the special slot, Teraba, same thing. It's getting a bit of damage resistance, so a little bit of a buff. It's very strong, but quite niche. And then Risk Runner is really good for survivability. It can chain kills when you take arc damage. So nice ad clear and good survivability on that one. And then the Manticore, it's got some Void synergy where it can give Void Overshield. And yeah, it just gives good damage resistance. And yeah, it can be quite good. And then Funnel Web was an old favorite back in the day. It's still pretty decent. And then Subjunctive can roll with Volt Shot, which is pretty nice. So yeah, some good SMGs to go after. And then we've got Anti-Barrier Scout. So Wicked Implement will be the new star next season, like Polaris Lance was last season, before Final Shape released. It can slow and freeze. And then it's also going to be able to do anti-barrier. And then collecting stasis shards gradually overflows the magazine. And this whole season's about making stasis shards and getting frost armor and stuff. And it has headstone when you have the catalyst, which is also obviously very strong. So this thing will be able to handle all 3 champion types. It's going to be an absolute monster. Very much looking forward to it. Percy's D. I've got Shoot to Loot Explosive Payload, but it can get some other good rolls over here. Explosive Payload's nice. This thing actually has a really good perk pool, and it hits really hard. It's a slow firing 150, but it's good from deep range, and yeah, just a very strong scout rifle if you're playing from afar. Deadman's Tail. I like Vorpal Weapon on mine. Obviously, that will be really good with anti-barrier for breaking shields. You could even put armor-piercing rounds on it as well. These things got a buff recently, the 120s, and they're feeling really good. What are they called? Aggressive frame scouts. So yeah, and then Hung Jury you can get from whatchamacallit, Onslaught, and then mine has Subsistence or Shoot to Loot and Kinetic Tremors. I love this roll. Kinetic Tremors is super strong. So yeah, some really nice anti-barrier options there. Kinetic Tremors you can get on Patron of Lost Causes from the current episode, which is going away obviously in a few days. But yeah, Patron of Lost Causes can also roll Kinetic Tremors. Then in the energy slot, Long Arm, I've got Subsistence Explosive Payload. Again, these have gotten a buff and they're feeling quite strong. Tarnished Metal, I haven't really used, but I did craft it way back in the day. Demolitionist, Volt Shot, just a really nice roll. So you can handle anti-barrier with anti-barrier Scout, and then you can handle overloads with a Volt Shot proc. So that's going to be really nice as well. And then you got Skyburner's Oath. There's like no solar synergy next season. It's all arc, Stasis, and Void. But it's still pretty decent if you are building into ignitions. Polaris Lance, still really strong, especially on anti-barrier, because as long as you're hitting crits, you never really have to stop shooting. And then Symmetry is getting a buff as well, where you can get the dynamic charge on kills as well as precision hits. So this thing I'm really looking forward to messing around with. It's definitely a sleeper pick for me, and it's that 260 archetype, so it shoots really fast. It's a pretty good feeling weapon, honestly, so I'm looking forward to messing around with Symmetry a little bit. All right, next we have Pulse Rifles, and these Heavy Burst 2 rounds are going up to 324 rounds per minute, but their damage is getting decreased. So overall, it's about a 10% hit to their DPS, but they will still be the strongest hitting Pulse Rifles in the game for legendaries. And then Revision Zero and Graviton Lance are also going up to 324 RPM, but their DPS should be staying the same because it's an 8% increase to rate of fire, and then they're getting an 8% damage decrease. So those two 8% should cancel out, and they should be doing the exact same DPS. So Graviton Lance and Revision Zero will still be very, very strong in my opinion. Collective Obligation, I did a video on this season. It's going to be better this season thanks to Void Hegemony and Expanding Abyss on the artifact, but still a very, very strong weapon. Graviton Lance has crazy ad clear. Red Death is really, really good for keeping you alive, especially if you have the Catalyst. Yeah, just an excellent weapon. Elsie's rifle can roll repulsor destabilizing rounds. Claws of the Wolf can roll with disruption break, even though it's unstoppable, not anti-barrier, so you're not really getting a benefit there, but still just a good feeling pulse rifle. Corrasion, enlightened action volt shot. So again, you're going to be able to double dip with unstoppable pulse rifle, and then you can deal with overloads with the volt shot. So yeah, Corrasion is looking like it's going to be really, really good. And like I said, these 2-round bursts just feel amazing. I've been using Aisha's Care a lot, just because lots of times I have 2 light damage weapons in my energy and heavy slots. So then the Strand or Stasis can get me my Darkness Transcendence for my builds. So yeah, Aisha's Care has been really, really good. Stay Frosty, you can't get it till winter if you don't already have it. You need the Dawning event, but it can roll with Headstone, which I think is pretty rare on pulse rifles. And this thing feels really good. It's a 450, just a smooth feeling. Like, look at the handling on that 77. It feels really smooth. Battle Scar, this is one of my favorites. Shoot to loot kinetic tremors, a very strong pulse rifle. Blast Furnace, kinetic tremors 1 for all, so even more strong. But again, look at the handling on this. I just don't like the feeling of these aggressive bursts, but you do you. And then we have a high impact with Relentless. This is just a strand option. If you don't have like Aisha's Care, you can get this from the Prophecy Dungeon. And then Vigilance Wing, we just have some exotics, so this isn't the best. No Time to Explain, you can kind of do the buddy build, but same thing, it's not the best. Outbreak Perfected is very, very strong. So it's been awesome this season, and it will be good again next season. And then Bad Juju's getting a nice buff next season to its reserves and an extension of the String of Curses buff. So yeah, Bad Juju is looking like it's going to be really good and really fun. And I just can't wait for it to maybe come back into the meta, because it's for a long time been one of my favorite weapons, and it's just always been so close to being great, but can't quite get there. So yeah, its magazines going from 27 to 36, which I think will help it a lot. So yeah, that's it for the pulse rifles. To finish up, I just want to highlight some really good stasis weapons. I know I've kind of talked about Verglas Curve and Wicked Implement, but I do think that they're going to be exceptionally strong this season. So definitely watch out for those and have them ready. And then another couple that I think could be good just because of some stasis synergy. You've got Cryosthesia, which can freeze enemies after you get a kill, so that could deal with Unstoppables. And then Recantor, or however you say that, this can roll with Headstone on a bow, which is very, very strong. And then we've got the Prophet. Mine has Demo and Precision Instrument, so I really like things with Demolitionist, and it's always really strong. And then Precision Instrument is nice. Like I said, these 120s did get a buff, and they're feeling pretty good. And then Demolitionist just pairs nicely with that. And just being Stasis, there's a lot of artifact mods that kind of build into using Stasis weapons. That's why I'm kind of featuring this. Herod C, I believe this comes from Gambit. I'm not sure if you can get it anymore, but it does have some pretty good rolls. Like Frenzy is good on anything. And then Chill Clip is going to be an absolute star next season. If you can get the Critical Anomaly from Salvation's Edge Raid, this is like one of my favorite weapons. Chill Clip and Chaos Reshaped. This is a huge damage buff at ×2 stacks. And then Chill Clip can deal with unstops and overloads. And I've used it as such this season in some of my solo GMs. And yeah, this is just an exceptional weapon. Sniper rifles are getting a massive buff. So I guess I should even talk about that a little bit. Tried to get some decent sniper rifles. There is this one that I'll pull over because there's some Void and Arc also, like I talked about. So this one with Rewind Rounds Precision Instrument could be pretty good next season. But yeah, Stasis, sniper rifles are getting a buff. Chill Clip, so it's got champion capability. This thing is just going to be a monster. Anything with Headstone, I think in some of the preview stuff I saw, there is a Stasis hand cannon coming with Headstone, I think. But if you don't have access to the Grasp of Avarice dungeon, which is where Ias Lune is from, Bold Endings is from the Pale Heart, and it can roll Demolition as Headstone, so also a nice option. There is, I think from Iron Banner, special sidearm, those rocket sidearms that can roll with Chill Clip, so that's going to be exceptionally strong as well. Those are some of the best weapons in the game. And then you can see this fusion rifle has Chill Clip, but if it's the rapid fire, it takes 3 shots to freeze. So if you have a Deliverance from the Vow of the Disciple raid, then this will only take 2 shots to freeze. So Demolitionist, Chill Clip, also really, really good synergy. And then another one of my all-time favorite weapons. I know the kill count's not super high, but every time I use Egger's Scepter, I absolutely love this thing. It can slow and freeze, and yeah, it's got that special firing mode. It's just excellent. And then if we move to the heavy slot, I have 2 Quillam's Terminuses here, just because they have like different unique roles. This has Unrelenting to give you your health back, and then you could make Stasis Crystals with Headstone, or a damage buff with Killing Tally. And then this one has Firefly, which is pretty unique, or again, Unrelenting Headstone. So yeah, that is from the Kingsfall raid. Edge Transit, again, GLs, so something like Anarchy could be really strong. Edge Transit is really strong, and it's Void, which could have some synergy. Thunderlord, I have Thunderlord and Le Monarch here, just because I don't think the Overload options are that amazing. Maybe Overload Breach Grenade Launcher will be really strong, I'm not sure. But if you wanted something else, don't forget about Thunderlord and Le Monarch. Ariana's Vow got a buff, and it's very strong. Buried Bloodline can give any class Devour quite easily, so it is still an excellent option to run. And then we have the Slammer. Again, this is another one of my favorite weapons. I know the kill count's not super high, but I do use this a ton. It's just, I'm more using it to like stun a champion and using it for movement with Eager Edge more than like getting kills. But these things, this role is super, super good. I love this sword. Salvation's Grip, I know I talked about it already, but it could be really good. This is a unique linear fusion rifle that can roll Chill Clip and Headstone, so might not be super strong, but it's got interesting synergy. Not that you're really going to be getting a lot of Headstone kills because you're not really using it for ad clear. Dimensional Hypertrochoid is from Neptune or Neomuna. If you can get it craftable, you can just make it however you want. I have Stats for All, 1 for All, but there is another roll on it that's pretty good. I think it's Chain Reaction. But these things are pretty good at taking out ads all on their own without chain reaction. And then Winter Bite. I know they said Glaives are getting a rework probably in Heresy, the episode after Revenant. But even still, Winter Bite can slow and freeze. It's just a super cool weapon. And yeah, I might mess around with that a bit this season, thanks to Stasis being so prevalent. So anyways, pretty long video. I know I went through a ton of weapons, but that's just because there's a ton of weapons in this game. And I do like to cover kind of everything because not everyone raids, so you're not necessarily going to have a nullify or like a critical anomaly, but I'm trying to give some other good options of things that you can run. So yeah, I hope this video was helpful and informative, and if it was, a like and subscription would be greatly appreciated. And if you're still watching, then thanks for watching to the end. Take care.